Hey guys, I am trying to go grocery shopping and I can't stop thinking about what just happened, and I wasn't going to share, but I feel like I need to share, and maybe it's just for me to like process what we just went through or to just bring awareness. I don't know. I'm still kind of triggered by it. But basically today is Sunday, and on Thursday my daughter had a seizure, and I think I want to just go through that and share what happened. So on Thursday morning, Ariel woke up. She woke up in her crib crying, 6 a.m. I immediately went to her and she was warm, definitely had a fever. Took her temperature and it was 100 degrees, 100 point something. And all day long, I couldn't break the fever. I gave her Tylenol. I put wet cloths on her to try to cool her down. I tried to keep her hydrated and tried to do everything that I could do to break the fever. She was sleeping a ton, which is understandable. She had a 102 degree fever for a solid 2.5 hours, which really was worrying me. So I call her doctor, tell them the whole story, and they basically were telling me that, if she gets up to 104, that's when you should be concerned. If the fever doesn't break or it doesn't go, below 102 after you've had Tylenol or Motrin in her for, I don't even remember how long, half hour, 45 minutes, I don't know. Call us back. I had just given her some more medicine at that point. And then, I checked her fever and it went down. It was back down to 100. So I was like, okay, we're making great progress. And probably, and I'm so bad at the timeline at this point, it's all a blur, but in the afternoon, I had checked her, it was 100 degrees. She was sleeping on the couch, napping, and all of a sudden, part of her body is not under the cover. So the top half of her does not have covers over her, but her legs are covered in a blanket. All of a sudden, her hands are in a fist motion, and they're jerking like this. And that's not normal for her. And I'm sitting right next to her. So I immediately scoop her up. And I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? And as I scoop her up, I see that her legs are limp, which is weird. And her hands are in fists and jerking, and I was like, this is a seizure? I've never seen this before, and I'm immediately freaking out because as I'm picking her up and I'm holding her, cradling her, so she's on her back, her eyes are rolling in the back of her head, and she's gargling, and foaming coming out of her mouth, and it's just her lips are changing color, and I'm freaking out, and I'm calling 911 at the same time. And they're telling me, put her on her side just in case she's choking or anything. So, thank God. I don't know. It wasn't, a natural reaction for me to do that, which is scary. But I was I don't know. I immediately called 911 because I've never seen a seizure. I had no idea what was going on. And, basically, they kept asking me how long did the seizure last once the ambulance and fire department and police, we had 12 people in my house. They're asking me how long did it last, and I honestly don't even know, because that felt like the longest period of time, but it probably lasted the duration of my 911 call, so a minute, I don't know. So the twitching of the seizure did stop. It wasn't that long, I guess, from a numerical perspective, but it felt like a lifetime to me. But afterwards, I brought her to our front room so I could see out the window for when the ambulance came, and I had her sideways, and I laid her down, and I'm trying to keep her calm. She's very calm. She's in a weird trance, or just so tired, so out of it, not knowing what's going on. Her eyes are open. She's breathing fine. She's just I don't know. And then she starts whimpering, and that makes me, I'm just bawling. I'm a mess. I'm not, I don't know. You always wonder how you are in crisis situations, and when it's your own child, it's just heartbreaking. But it was weird. 911 hung up on me, which I didn't think of until later on when my mom, so basically 911 hung up on me saying that people are on their way, and I immediately have my mom FaceTimed in, and she's calming me down when I'm supposed to be calming my daughter down. So it's just like not good in not good in crisis situations. But I'm trying to be strong and keep Ariel calm because she's looking at me, and I'm like rubbing her back, and we're in the front room so I can see when everyone comes in. Like the fire truck arrives first, so 2 people come in, and then the police, and then the ambulance. So there was like 8 to 12 people, I don't even know. And at this time we're dog sitting our nanny's dog. So I have my dog Bentley and Belle, the other dog. They're both like, you know, freaking out about all these people entering the house, and I don't even know where I'm going with this. It was just a really scary situation, but we go to, basically they're getting all the information. They can see that she is in, I forget what the stage after a seizure is called, but trachea or something, I don't remember, but they're you know, assessing her and taking her pulse and all that stuff, and they know that she's stable, and they want to bring her to the hospital. So we get into the ambulance, and I'm calling Bruno at this point, and he's like an hour and a half away because of traffic, and I don't know. So we get to the hospital, and I don't know, they put all these monitors on her in the ambulance, and then we get into a room in the hospital in the ER, and the first thing they do is they take blood, and they try to put a catheter in her, and she's like so tired. And then the nurse had really hard time putting the catheter in. They're trying to do a blood test, or urine test, sorry, and Ariel's arm's jerking like this, and I'm thinking it's another seizure. And then the nurse is kind of ignoring it. So I'm like, wait, can we just take a break here? And like, I don't know, I had all these emotions going on, and I felt like they were hurting my daughter, which I know it's their job, and like I wasn't trying to get in the way, but it's like a lot just happened. we need to breathe for a second, and I don't know. So they do collect urine from her and blood from her, and we're just waiting, and you know, they have all the monitors hooked up to her, and her blood pressure is just like, or her heart rate, I forget what, but it's just like really high, like in the high 200s, not like high 200s, but in the 200s, when it should be a lot slower. And like, I know nothing about medical, like I faint at the sight of blood, like I'm just so not good with this stuff, and I don't know, I just like felt like the nurses and the doctors, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I just felt like I just worried that I wasn't in the right place. Like, we used to live so close to Boston, and I just felt like they had the best staff, and I don't know, I'm being like judgmental, I don't mean to be. I just felt uneasy about the care she was getting, and like I couldn't like be an authority on anything because I don't know what is going on. I don't even know. I guess what she had is a febrile seizure, and these are really common in toddlers, I guess, like 12 to 18 months. And what this is, the type of seizure it is when your child, it's not so much about how high the temperature is, but how quick it spikes your baby's body temperature, like the transition. So like Ariel was at 100 degree fever, and then it was way too fast. It would transition to 102, which made her body react in that way. So it was a really quick spike all of a sudden, and that's what gives your baby that type of seizure. It's not like she didn't have this outrageously high temperature. She never reached beyond 102. So that's something I didn't know. And there's nothing to really worry about unless it happens again, like I can't say the word. Her brain is fine, like everything's fine, like there's no concern to like, you know, we don't have any seizures in our family. There's no like family history of that. It's just something that can happen, and I had no idea that that was a thing. And I guess I just want to make this video because we as moms, as if we don't have enough to worry about already, you know, just be cautious that it's something that can happen, and it's something that you can't control and you can't predict. And, you know, I felt really guilty, like, did I not do something? Did I cause this? And the doctors were reassuring, like, that you don't know when it's going to happen, and you just call 911. So we ended up being admitted because of that arm jerking thing. I made a comment about it, and I just wanted to make sure that wasn't another seizure. The doctor didn't see it happen, only the nurse, and I don't know, so they just wanted to keep her overnight. They had to do a CAT scan too, and there was a lot of commotion at this particular hospital. Like, I would not willingly go there again. Like, the CAT scan, I couldn't be in there. Bruno, my husband, was in there at this point, and a CAT scan is like radiation, so it's not something you really want your child going through unless it's absolutely necessary, and they felt like it was something that they should do. And I wasn't in there to see this, but like, nobody was there to help hold her down. She was just kind of like she had like this heavy you know, protective layer, blanket, like a swaddle on, just to protect from the radiation, but her head was free to move around. And so basically the images that they took were not great. And then we witnessed the doctor get all mad at the person doing the CAT scan, because there's apparently tricks and ways to do it, like she's a baby, like the way that he did it they shouldn't have. But you know, you don't want your child exposed to radiation, so we weren't going to do it again. They looked at the images, and from what they could see, there was nothing like to be nervous about. One doctor told us, the first doctor, she's like, your daughter has mono, and apparently mono is not as scary in babies as it is for teenagers and adults. But then like an hour later, shift change, new doctor, and like, no, she does not have mono, totally negative for mono, but her white blood cell level in her urine was high, so they want to make sure she doesn't have another type of infection. They did find that her throat, I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, I'm so out of this, but at daycare, a little girl had foot, hand, mouth virus. Very contagious, and it's going around like crazy where I live right now. So that's why I thought Ariel had a fever in the first place. Foot, hand, mouth. And I didn't see any signs of it, like it's like sores, blisters, fever is something it starts with, and Ariel, I didn't see anything. She had no rash, but down deep in her throat, they could see it, and it's so painful and sore that she has those blisters. It's like way back there. So she has that going on, but now because her urine has a lot more white blood cells than it should, they're worried that there might be another type of infection. I don't know. They threw out the word meningitis, which just like instantly made me bald. Like, you don't throw that word around. That is a bad word. And she was negative for that. There was nothing. And I just felt so uneasy, so out of my element the entire time. I'm sorry if this story does not make sense at all. But, I mean, you just can't take for granted health. Honestly, it's such a blessing to be healthy. And I feel for all those families that spend so much time in the hospital, like, because it's a scary place, and it's a place where there's a lot of opinions. Even though you'd think that medicine and science is all fact, sometimes there's a lot of ways that people interpret things and share things, and sometimes words that don't need to be shared, like meningitis, come out. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just wanted to give a little bit of an update of what our weekend was like. We came home on Friday. This all happened Thursday. We came home Friday. Ariel is clearly having a really tough time with her sore throat. Can't get her to really eat anything except for popsicles and really soft things. So we're trying to deal with that, make sure she's not starving. But she is drinking milk. She's drinking lots of fluids, which is really good. So, and she hasn't had a fever since Friday. But now I'm just dealing with, like, figuring out, you know, do I send her back to daycare and all that struggle. But yeah, I don't know what the point of this was to share, other than I just went through something really scary and was totally caught off guard, and hopefully this brings awareness that, I think it's febrile seizures are something that can happen when your child's experiencing a fever and their body temperature spikes really fast instead of a gradual incline. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I don't know. I felt like I just needed to get this off my chest because it's been really stressing me out. I haven't been able to sleep, and I wanted to keep it real.